Then she looked at Hua Azure-Cloud with admiration on her face. Even though her senior brother had a low cultivation level, she didn't expect him to be someone skilled in using strategies and possessing great wisdom to understand everything. But Hua Azure-Cloud only had one thought in his mind: to finish the work before going to work. Doesn't this mean that he can take a leave early? But reality often does not go smoothly. The heaven-converging blood-refining formation under the feet of the four suddenly was activated again. That's right. How can there be no plot twist for the antagonist? Just a moment ago, Hua Azure-Cloud was so happy. Now the gap is so huge. As Qingyun's body floated up from the ground, blood puppet number 1 and number 2 dispersed one after another, merged into his dantian. After a moment, a shadow of a demonic artifact slowly materialized. Yu Jade Heart saw the situation and quickly unleashed a sword art. But it was all too late. The demonic artifact had already been fully condensed by Qingyun. He blocked the sword art with just one hand. At this moment, he laughed heartily, looking up at the sky. Heaven-converging blood-refining formation has finally succeeded. Yu Jade Heart suddenly felt a sense of unease in her heart. She immediately told everyone to run away, because that last sword just now was her last speck of spiritual power. She just didn't notice that Hua Azure-Cloud had already started the countdown with the clock in her hand. Then he asked the three to leave first, saying it was almost time for him to start work. Who would have expected that as soon as he said this, it directly stopped all three who were actively trying to leave. However, Qingyun is not prepared to let them off. In an instant, everyone was firmly grasped by the enlarged blood puppets. A sense of despair once again filled the space. This Qingyun seems to be immortal. And at this moment, Yu Bladeheart discovered an even more desperate situation. Qingyun's cultivation level has actually ascended to the Violet Mansion 8 layer. She was puzzled in her heart. All four of our sacrificial offerings are here. How did he manage to complete the heaven-converging blood-refining formation? They just underestimated Qingyun's madness. Originally, he intended to keep the first and second as collectibles. But in order for the great formation to succeed, not only did he absorb the first and second, but he also acted as a sacrificial offering himself. He looked at the four people who were powerless to resist and boasted that this was the first step of the demon lords ruling the world. The demon embryo of the Crimson Infernal Weapon. Upon hearing the words, "Crimson Infernal Weapon," the two from Purple Cloud quickly recalled that it was mentioned in ancient books. When the demon weapon appeared 10,000 years ago, countless members of the righteous faction were killed by it, and a large part of the territory fell into the hands of the demonic sect. Strong experts at the Immortal Ascension stage from the 5 domains of the Central Continent joined forces to finally shatter that Crimson Infernal Weapon, putting an end to the catastrophe. However, Yu Jade Heart discovered that at this moment, her senior brother was still in a countdown. Immediately, Qingyun didn't waste any words and intended to directly deal with everyone. But at this moment, a bell rang, interrupting him. Hua Azure-Cloud could only helplessly watch the noisy clock in his hand, because it was already 9 o'clock. It was time to go to work. Qingyun didn't even have time to react to the word work. The huge blue sword wave directly chopped it into the ground. Because going to work means he, Hua Azure-Cloud, has to start showing off. Just seeing him raise his hand unleashes a violent sword chi. The huge blood puppet was pierced directly through by it. The continuous sword chi came surging. It even knocked Qingyun down to the ground. Later, in order not to reveal his true strength, he let Yu Jade Heart go to set up the soul-locking and heaven-binding great formation to protect the village not far away. But little junior sister is extremely worried. You must know that Qingyun is currently at the Violet Mansion 8 layer. But under Hua Azure-Cloud's earnest persuasion, she finally chose to go with 2 people from Void Spiritual Sect to set up the formation. Although his senior brother Hua's cultivation level, he could possibly be smacked to death with a single palm. But based on various signs before, this time she chooses to believe in her senior brother Hua. After a few people arrived at the village, Jadeheart immediately took out the formation core. She then directly threw it into the air. Accompanied by a loud rumble, a blue barrier instantly surrounded the town. And on the battlefield, Hua Azure-Cloud's eyes flashed with blood. Holding a sword, she stood upright in the sky. The momentum she emanated directly made Qingyun break out in a cold sweat. However, he did not show any weakness in his words. "Kid, you don't think that was my full strength just now, do you?" he said. Then he raised the demon weapon high. A move, blood-glazed strike, carried a huge red energy. It struck directly towards Hua Azure-Cloud. Looking at him being overwhelmed by the energy, Qingyun was extremely pleased. But the next second, Hua Azure-Cloud appeared above his head like a ghost. He didn't forget to taunt. "Is that all?" Qingyun became instantly furious upon seeing this, then directly launched a fierce attack, sending several demonic flames shooting into the sky. The three individuals above the village couldn't help but sigh at the power of their demon weapons. Jadeheart, however, had tears in the corners of her eyes. She prayed fervently for Hua Azure-Cloud with trembling hands. Obviously, she had underestimated her senior brother Hua in the face of such a formidable attack. He still handled it with ease. He even shattered Qingyun's big move with just one sword. At this moment, Qingyun's expression was ashen. And Hua Azure-Cloud is not planning to act anymore. Are you thinking, why can a mere Spirit Palace stage rookie like me easily manipulate and applaud you? Seeing that you are a dying person, then I will kindly tell you. Actually, I have sealed my own stage. I have always been afraid to cultivate in front of others, for fear of accidentally attracting celestial tribulation. Moreover, being too flamboyant as a sect disciple may not be a good thing. The greater the ability, the more trouble one may encounter. In order to live easily, I must hide my true strength. After trying in vain, Qingyun shouted out angrily, "What a madman this lunatic is!" He immediately transformed into a red light and planned to escape. But how could Hua Azure-Cloud let him go? Only to see him slowly suspending the long sword in front of his chest. His residual image burst forth with boundless sword intent. Then he let out a loud shout. The surging sword chi of the Azure-Cloud mystical sword pointed directly at Qingyun. And he was instantly engulfed in this blue energy. After the rain stopped and the sky cleared, a canyon was carved out of the earth. At this moment, Hua Azure-Cloud was surprised to find the crimson infernal weapon was surprisingly standing intact on the ground. The power of this sword directly frightened the two from the Void Spiritual Sect. This power is probably comparable to an immortal ascension stage cultivator. San Xiaoman Jieyu, junior sister, are you sure he is not an elder from your sect? At this moment, Jadeheart is also shocked. She did not expect the small fry in her mouth to have cultivation level that has surpassed all the disciples in the sect. Thinking of this, her little face couldn't help but blush. But before she could ponder further, the sound of the great formation cracking came from her ear. It turned out that the excessive power of the spiritual power from the previous battle was too strong. The soul-locking and heaven-binding formation couldn't hold on any longer. So she immediately asked the two members of the Void Spiritual Sect to evacuate the villagers. She herself maintained the great formation to delay its disintegration. But her spiritual power had long been exhausted. Obviously, she was at the end of her tether. Just then, a big hand appeared above her palm. The originally damaged great formation instantly restored to its original state. At this moment, she turned her head and was surprised to find that the visitor was her senior brother Hua. Afterwards, Jadeheart's face darkened. Looking at Hua Azure-Cloud with a face full of grievances. "Since you are so powerful, why didn't you tell me earlier?" However, Hua Azure-Cloud still chose to play dumb. "Aw? Junior sister, what are you talking about?" Thanks to the sword talisman beloved master gave me earlier, I was able to easily eliminate that demonic sect elder just now. But his perfunctory rhetoric. How can he persuade three people so easily? This time he played another trick of stirring up trouble. In fact, thanks to the three of you fighting desperately, I was able to activate the sword talisman. In addition, Xian was already severely weakened by your efforts, which is why he was defeated by the sword talisman. I was just lucky. I just got lucky and that's it. But that's not right either. You dodged all the attacks from the demonic sect elder. Faced with little junior sister's relentless pursuit, Hua Azure-Cloud almost couldn't dodge it. In the end, he could only express helplessness. In fact, what he specializes in is the escape technique and body technique. That's why he managed to dodge the attack. Junior sister, you also know. My beloved master, Ancient Feather, is the #1 person in this sect in escape art. But you Jade Heart has another question. That is, the soul-locking and heaven-binding formation that just happened would require instant recovery, and it's not something that a person at the Spirit Palace stage can achieve. However, Hua Azure-Cloud had long been prepared. He directly took out a jade pendant from his bosom. The three of them exclaimed one after another upon seeing it. Is this the spiritual hidden jade? And this jade can store spiritual power, and can be called upon at any time. Only then did you Jade Heart start to believe. However, she also felt that something was amiss. Just as she was lost in her thoughts, Hua Azure-Cloud gently touched her forehead. Junior sister, stop overthinking. If I were really that capable, how could sect leader and beloved master not notice? You are undoubtedly the #1 chief disciple of Azure-Cloud Sword Sect. Facing the sudden comfort, you Jade Heart's face instantly warmed up. Senior brother, you're so annoying. You're launching a surprise attack again. The two members of the Void Spiritual Sect, who had already eaten, curiously asked where the demon weapon was at the moment. Hua Azure-Cloud replied, the demon weapon is filled with demonic energy and cannot be approached for the time being. However, I have set up a formation to suppress it in place. Shortly afterwards, several people arrived above the demon weapon. Just as Hua Azure-Cloud was about to retrieve it, I only saw the demon weapon becoming restless. The demon weapon instantly broke through the suppression of the formation. On the side, you Jade Heart exclaimed that things were not good. Someone is manipulating the demon weapon. Before the group could respond, the demon weapon is about to be consumed by the teleportation formation. Hua Azure-Cloud quickly swung out a sword chi upon seeing this. Although the sword chi penetrated into the demon weapon, but the demon weapon was still taken away by someone else. Just as the three of them were discussing countermeasures, Hua Azure-Cloud secretly thought to himself. Just now, in order to prevent Junior Sister from discovering, he forcefully suppressed his power. That's why he failed to leave behind the demon embryo. However, that sword, combined with the previous formation, should be able to prevent the captor from taking away the demon embryo. As he had expected, in a quiet cave, a physical body was slowly forming. It turned out that this person was the demonic cloud patriarch, who was easily killed by Hua Azure-Cloud earlier. At this moment, he swore to mutilate Hua Azure-Cloud into 1,000 pieces. However, at this moment, a red blood shadow appeared over his head. With the help of his superior, he successfully revived by borrowing a corpse. Just as he was thinking of sending the head to Hua Azure-Cloud, his leader suddenly appeared and expressed that Xian, who was doing business outside, had suddenly died. Fortunately, he had completed his mission successfully, refining the demon embryo. However, during the recovery, external forces obstructed and caused the demon embryo to fall. Now he was ordered to take the blame and make amends, quickly going to Cloudheart Mountain Range to retrieve it. But he was worried about his business capabilities. So, he also gave him 3 mystic artifacts. Demonic Cloud Patriarch quickly kowtowed to accept the command. And on Hua Azure-Cloud's side, the two from Void Spiritual Sect witnessed the situation here. They promptly bid farewell, and returned to the sect to report. On the way, the little junior brother from Void Spiritual Sect suddenly brought up Hua Azure-Cloud, feeling that this person is definitely not ordinary. It seems like everything is within his control. And after taking the detoxification Dan pill, he found an invisible layer of sword chi inside his body. I'm afraid what truly isolates the poison isn't the Dan pills, but rather these sword chi. He said this, and then showed a worshipful expression. Purple Cloud was also completely puzzled by what was said. Why is Hua Dao's friend so powerful, yet insists on concealing it so intensely? Then the two of them considered whether to report this matter to the sect. After some brain-racking, the two of them ultimately decided to respect Hua Azure-Cloud's choice. Little did they know, Hua Azure-Cloud saw through all the actions of the siblings. Seeing that there was no malice, he then removed the sword chi hidden within the bodies of the siblings. Jade-Heart reported this matter back to the sect. The two of them then prepared to return. But just as they were on their way back, Jade-Heart suddenly stopped. Senior brother Hua, please tell me the truth. Are you really not hiding your true strength? Hua Azure-Cloud still pretended to be confused when he heard this. Junior sister, why would I lie to you? I am just a newbie at the Spirit Palace stage. I can't be compared to geniuses like you. As soon as the words fell, a sword chi came straight at him. Seeing that Wells did not react, Jade-Heart quickly withdrew some of the force. But sword chi still hit Hua Azure-Cloud, thankfully only shattering his clothes in front of his chest. Who knew that at this moment, a red book fell with a sound. Jade-Heart quickly grabbed it. But when she saw the cover, her little face instantly turned crimson. Hua Azure-Cloud quickly grabbed the book and explained. Junior sister, let me explain. This is a very popular type of book in the mortal world, also known as a novel. However, in Bladeheart's heart, the image previously constructed by Hua Azure-Cloud instantly collapsed. After a thorough explanation from him, Jade-Heart then barely believed it, but began to lecture him with big principles. Senior brother Hua, you are losing your ambition by indulging in idle pursuits. Your talent is not weak, so you should strive to cultivate it. Alright, senior brother, let's continue our journey. Just as Hua Azure-Cloud was about to completely dispel little junior sister's doubts, another sword chi suddenly struck. To protect the novel, Hua Azure-Cloud directly blocked the sword chi with their bare hands. But when he realized it, it was already too late. Senior brother, even if I reach Violet Mansion Stage 7 layer, I wouldn't dare to block this sword with my hand, let alone being slapped away with one palm. Hua Azure-Cloud couldn't hide it anymore, and had to admit, he had only concealed a tiny bit of his cultivation level. To his surprise, Jade-Heart unexpectedly offered to keep it a secret for him. However, the only requirement is that he has to instruct her in the sword technique. Hua Azure-Cloud, who has been caught by the tail, dares not say a word of refusal now. He could only silently agree to Jade-Heart's requests. She must be thrilled. Senior brother, rest assured that I absolutely won't mention a word. Afterwards, she blushed and urged, let's quickly go back. And at this moment, Hua Azure-Cloud's face turned black. I said, Sect Leader, look at what you've done. You've really put me in a difficult situation. As a result, the two of them returned to the sect's main hall as soon as they got back to the sect. The elders were overjoyed as soon as they saw Jade-Heart. They hurried forward to offer their condolences. Bladeheart, you've made great contributions this time. Did you get hurt anywhere? However, they arrived at Hua Azure-Cloud's place. The expressions of the crowd became gloomy. They even accused him of holding back Jade-Heart. Hua Azure-Cloud was also helpless. She thought to herself, if it weren't for me, your beloved chief disciple would have been refined by the great formation long ago. Fortunately, sect leader Serene Sword supported him. Both of you, please say less. If it weren't for Azure-Cloud activating the sword talisman in time, how could they have easily killed the demonic sect elder in this mission? After listening to Serene Sword's account, the elders finally quieted down. But there are still people who are not convinced. Besides, this sword talisman was also given by the ancient Feather Hall Master. He just activated it. When this was said, everyone echoed in agreement. That's right, that's right. It seems that the ancient Feather Hall Master is the biggest contributor this time, facing everyone's praise. At this moment, Ancient Feather looked puzzled. What? How do I remember that the power of the sword talisman is only at the Violet Mansion Stage 1 layer? So he looked at Hua Azure-Cloud with a puzzled expression. Could it be that a mistake was made back then? At the request of Serene Sword afterwards. Jade Heart immediately started chattering away, recounting the whole incident. Of course, she did not forget her agreement with Hua Azure-Cloud. The meeting didn't conclude until nightfall. Hua Azure-Cloud lazily stretched as he walked out of the hall. Finally, starting tomorrow, he can sleep in and wake up naturally. Just as he was feeling happy. Behind him came the familiar words. Senior brother. Jade Heart suddenly appeared and eagerly asked. Senior brother, how's my sword stance? What about the sword technique that we agreed on earlier? Looking at the eager little junior sister Hua Azure-Cloud, who also had a look of grievance on her face. He had just wanted to use fatigue as an excuse to push off for 2 days. But how could drama queen Jade Heart let him off? Senior brother should say that I'm the most tired, okay? You've been lying in the end all this time. What the fluff? What nonsense are you talking about? If it weren't for me stepping in, you would have been done for. Jade Heart only paused for 2.4 seconds, looking at the big straight man in front of her. She immediately changed her expression and grabbed his clothes, giving him a fierce reprimand. If you dare not give me guidance today, I will reveal our relationship. Hua Azure-Cloud instantly became angry. You silly child, this is in front of the main hall. Don't slander me, or the elders will mock me again. Faced with Jade Heart's persistent pursuit, he could only reluctantly agree in the end. Come to my mansion tonight. I will give you some guidance. Before you comprehend, you are not allowed to come find me again. Dear viewers, faced with such a lovely woman acting coquettishly in front of you, how should you respond? The scene suddenly shifts to the late night. Jade Heart arrives as scheduled. But she found Hua Azure-Cloud's serious expression quite puzzling. Senior brother, why are you so serious today? Is it because you are so concerned about guiding me in sword technique? Obviously, she is overthinking it. At this time, Hua Azure-Cloud also slowly revealed the reason. Junior sister, it's the brand new issue of the Girl Cultivator that I have been thinking about. It will be officially released the day after tomorrow. And it's a limited edition with illustrations. So I will come to Cloud Heart City tomorrow to provide guidance on your sword technique. I will only demonstrate it once. Once you have agreed, we will meet. He then extended his left hand. So next, please use all your strength to attack me. Jade Heart grinned. Only to see the raging blue energy, instantly converging on the long sword. Next, a move Azure-Cloud sword art 9 heavens. Head straight towards Hua Azure-Cloud. But he just indifferently raised his hand to welcome it. At the moment they touched, there was only a loud bang. The massive energy dissipated instantaneously between heaven and earth, leaving only his confident gaze. And at this moment, Jade Heart stood dazed in place. Then she knelt down with a thud. I have lost. Hua Azure-Cloud was afraid that her Taoist heart would break. So he hurriedly comforted her. Junior sister, nothing in the world is perfect. Sword technique is the same. I just found a flaw in your sword technique. I only use spiritual power to destroy it. As long as you keep patching up the flaw continuously and cultivate it to the extreme, then even if you are holding grass and wood by that time, you will be able to cut through the sun, moon, and stars. At this moment, Jade Heart has been completely conquered by Hua Azure-Cloud's Sword Tao resonance, without giving her much time to think. Just as Hua Azure-Cloud stepped with his left foot, a stone slab rose up accordingly. Then he pointed his finger like a sword, under his explosive operation. Finally, the stone slab floated gently above the palm of his hand. I'm sure the sword marks on it are enough for you to ponder for a while. But you must remember, this stone tablet must never be shown to anyone. Jade Heart treated it as a treasure. She quickly held it close to her chest. She then leaped up in one go, without saying goodbye. Thank you, senior brother, for your guidance. I will go back now to ponder on it. Watching the departing little junior sister Hua Azure-Cloud, he sighed helplessly. That little scroll king. Looks like another all-night cultivation session is coming. The next morning, Hua Azure-Cloud began to play with his own treasures. He was just about to set off for Cloud Heart City. He then saw a streak of light flash outside the window. Ding Qin was puzzled. Beloved master is a homebody. Why would he go out today? However, when Ancient Feather passed through a valley, he found someone following him from behind. So he stopped in his tracks. Dawa's friend, you have been following me for so long. Aren't you tired? The person who was following saw that he had been exposed, so he slowly revealed his true identity. It is rumored that Hall Master Ancient Feather is known for his speed. But now it seems that is nothing special in my eyes. Ancient Feather couldn't help but sweat on his forehead after seeing his true face. He didn't expect the visitor to be none other than demonic Cloud Sect leader Black Xiang. So he prepared to stall for time while gathering a sword array behind him. His little trick, however, was already seen through by Black Xiang. Even though Ancient Feather is an expert at the Immortal Ascension stage, he still unleashed an all-out attack. But he was still battered to the point of being at death's door by Black Xiang. Fortunately, a jade pendant saved Ancient Feather's life. And our Hua Azure-Cloud has just arrived in Cloud Heart City. His heart suddenly tightened. It turned out to be the jade pendant previously given to beloved master. The strand of sword chi hidden inside it was triggered. His expression became even more tense. Meanwhile, Ancient Feather, who was on the brink of death. Also, he discovered this jade pendant. It was the one that little Hua had given to him before. But Black Xiang was obviously getting anxious. Only saw him gathering all his strength in his left fist, ready to deliver a fatal blow to Ancient Feather. Hua Azure-Cloud saw the situation was urgent. He quickly unsealed a portion of his strength. He immediately released his spiritual intention to investigate the location. Fortunately, he quickly found the position of the Ancient Feather. Then he promptly cast the Azure Cloud Sword Art Breaking Dawn, and Black Xiang was suddenly engulfed by the blue energy. After the smoke cleared, Black Xiang was seen sitting in a sorry state amidst the ruins. And Ancient Feather also escaped effortlessly. At this moment, he is extremely angry. Ancient Feather, until next time. I will regain my dignity. I will tear you apart with my own hands. However, Hua Azure-Cloud seems dissatisfied with this outcome. He didn't expect that. He didn't manage to defeat the opponent with just one move. It is believed that the opponent's strength is at least at the Immortal Ascension stage 4 layer or higher. Thinking of this, Hua Azure-Cloud's scalp tingled instantly. Why would such a strong individual come to assassinate the beloved master? Fortunately, the beloved master has already escaped back to the sect. At present, the limited edition illustrated novel is still a priority. The scene suddenly changes. When he arrives at the location where the novel is being sold, he instantly becomes dumbfounded, only to see a long line that seems to stretch endlessly. Even though he is already a peak powerhouse, he still needs to follow the rules. He obediently joined the long queue. It quickly passed 2.5 hours. The sky began to darken. But it was when Hua Azure-Cloud grabbed the last art book. The art book was snatched away in an instant by a jade hand. He quickly turned his head to look. A woman with long hair, shoulder-length curls, and beautiful blue eyes appeared in front of him with a teardrop mole at the corner of her eye. Even though she was somewhat attractive, she was not little junior's sister after all. Hua Azure-Cloud naturally wouldn't give in. He quickly grabbed the album, and neither of them yielded to the other. The atmosphere became increasingly tense. The woman eventually broke the calmness first. Dawa's friend, who is handsome. Can you let me have the last album? Faced with the woman's coquettishness, I think the audience in front of the screen may not be able to resist. But Hua Azure-Cloud is a famous straight man. He directly refused the woman with words. Afterwards, he even prepared to buy at double the price. The woman instantly changed her expression. Dream on. I don't care about this little money. The way they were arguing was making the vendor confused. It looked like they were about to fight. The vendor quickly intervened, saying, Daoist friends, please don't get angry. There is only one book left. Why don't you discuss this together? At this moment, the woman suddenly had a bright idea. Since both of us are unwilling to give up, let's have a fair duel. She then took out several jade tokens from her pocket. Let's play rock, paper, scissors, man. Best 2 out of 3. But Hua Azure-Cloud believed that by using spiritual intention, one could know what the opponent would play without the need to guess at all. The woman calmly explained that this jade card was a special spiritual artifact refined by the Divine Mechanism sect, with the effect of blocking spiritual intention perception. You can only rely on the naked eye to see. Using this for the competition is the fairest way. At this moment, Hua Azure-Cloud was still a bit incredulous. So, she immediately released her spiritual intention to scan. The result was just as the woman said. She couldn't see through the patterns at all. Then he started the battle with the woman. No matter what cards he played, he was always a bit inferior to the woman. In the end, he unsurprisingly lost the competition. At this moment, Hua Azure-Cloud's heart was as cold as ashes. He could only watch as the woman took the album away. And as she left, she couldn't resist teasing him. Hua Azure-Cloud was also trembling with anger. He couldn't figure it out. How could he lose so inexplicably? After calming down for a moment, Hua Azure-Cloud felt relieved. In hindsight, since he was already here, he might as well take a stroll before leaving. Sect leader had repeatedly reminded him, so he should arrange for some other varieties of tea for him. Just as Hua Azure-Cloud bought all the tea seeds and was preparing to return to the sect, he suddenly heard a burst of argument by his ear. So he immediately stopped and started eating the melon. Ding Qin took a look and realized that it was the woman from before. He found that she was having a dispute with 2 teenagers. It turned out that the woman had also played rock, paper, scissors with them. After winning several rounds in a row, the teenagers felt that there was foul play, so they started to argue with her. The woman, seeing the situation was unfavorable, immediately ran away. However, the young man was not someone to be trifled with. He saw him mobilize his energy in his palm, shouting angrily, "Stop, you can't leave!" A moment later, a huge palm print came towards the woman. The woman felt a sense of unease in her heart. She did not expect the other party to be a strong expert from the Violet Mansion 3 layer. Just at this critical moment, it seems she has discovered something. Then she immediately turned around and called out, "Brother! Brother, I knew you would come. Please come help me. They are up to something against me." At this moment, Hua Azure-Cloud's face was full of blue veins due to anger. Then he bowed with his fists. "Daoist friends, please don't misunderstand. I am not acquainted with her at all. I merely passed by. Please continue without being disturbed by me." The woman saw the situation was not optimistic and quickly tried to act cute. "Brother, you are truly heartless. Have you forgotten our first encounter?" Hua Azure-Cloud is quite helpless. "It's just losing a game of rock, paper, scissors to you, that's all." The young man seemed to instantly understand. "So, besides us, you have also tricked others. It seems like today, we must give you a good lesson." And Hua Azure-Cloud was also inciting on the side. "Both Daoist friends must intensify their efforts later. I am also thinking of retrieving my novel." But at this time, the woman was actually holding on to an art catalog. She threatened Hua Azure-Cloud, "If you don't help me, I will tear this book right now." However, the young man standing aside didn't care about any of it. The young man directly threw a dragon claw attack, intending to make the woman pay a price. However, he was stopped by Hua Azure-Cloud. The young men were surprised and angry. Surprised that Hua Azure-Cloud easily dispelled their mystic art, and angry that he had just said he wouldn't intervene. On the other hand, for the sake of the art book, Hua Azure-Cloud has already proven himself to be a great benefactor. Subsequently, he could only explain helplessly that the 2 Daoist friends encountered unexpected circumstances. I hope you can understand." After speaking, he turned his head and asked the woman to hand over the painting album. But the woman playfully rolled her eyes at him. Then her body began to slowly dissipate. When he tried to stop her, obviously, it was already too late. Hua Azure-Cloud, who had been tricked twice in one day, was instantly consumed by anger. He vowed to make the woman pay this time. He immediately transformed into a streak of light and swiftly chased after her. The woman had already arrived outside Cloudheart City at this moment. She had just steadied herself when a gust of strong wind hit. When she looked up, she was startled by the sight of Hua Azure-Cloud in front of her. Before she could react, Hua Azure-Cloud sealed all her spiritual power. Without the support of spiritual power, the woman also staggered. Hua Azure-Cloud then took the opportunity to hold onto the woman. "You're quite capable. Which sect are you from that you dare deceive me?" It is said that there is an unwritten rule in Cloudheart City. Anyone who flaunts and deceives in the city should have their spiritual power sealed and be demoted to commoners, cleaning the pigsty for 7 days. The woman was momentarily confused after hearing it. Even her speech became awkward. The two young men who had just arrived were amazed at the scene before them. Geez, what's going on? How did they all end up hugging each other? But Hua Azure-Cloud didn't care about all that. Right now, he just wanted his album back. Looking at the man in front of him, the woman tightly held his small hand, furious. "You really don't know how to appreciate beauty and cherish jade. I bet you'll be single for the rest of your life." Forced to do so reluctantly, she could only obediently hand over the album. Afterwards, Hua Azure-Cloud lifted the seal for him. And he threw some spiritual stones to the woman, showing that he was also a thoughtful person. But Hua Azure-Cloud also had a doubt. That is, how did the woman cheat in the game of rock, paper, scissors? But she claimed that she did not cheat. She just used a little bit of illusion arts, that's all. Upon hearing Hua Azure-Cloud's name, he immediately became excited and hurriedly asked what type of illusion arts it was. The woman, upon hearing this, immediately began to demonstrate. She revealed the playing cards in her hand, and in an instant of flipping them over, they turned into stones. The two young men couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This kind of illusion arts doesn't reveal any hint of spiritual chi. No wonder we're losing. If we keep competing like this, I'm afraid we'll end up losing even our cotton pants. But Hua Azure-Cloud questioned again. "Then why is it that the second time I turned over your cards first, yet you still managed to beat me?" Have you ever heard of an illusion arts izanami that makes you feel like you've lost, causing the pattern you see to change? The three people were all greatly surprised. It turned out to be the legendary izanami. It was only after being questioned by the young man that the truth was revealed. The woman turned out to be the famous Phantom Heart Palace Dancing Moon, known for her illusion arts. The two people also revealed their backgrounds when they learned that the woman came from an ancient sect. Ms. Moon had offended them before. "I am a direct disciple of Cloudheart Sect, and the person next to Dark Cloud is my junior brother White Ren. The purpose of this trip is to search for treasures in the Cloudstar Mountain Range. Ms. Moon's illusion arts are so powerful. How about joining us?" Dancing Moon became interested instantly upon hearing about the mystical artifact. Shortly after, Dark Cloud explained that a few days ago, a red light fell deep in the Cloudheart Mountain Range, and there is a possibility that it is a rare treasure appearing in the world. On the side, Hua Azure-Cloud seemed to have caught a clue. A few days ago, there was a red glow. Could it be the demon embryo? I must have been overthinking it. It couldn't be that coincidental. After Dancing Moon learned about the situation, he agreed without hesitation. At this time, Dark Cloud seems to want to bring Hua Azure-Cloud on board as well. Reliable as he is known for slacking off, how could he possibly be working overtime during the holidays? He just wants to stay in the city for one night now, to finish reading this latest art album. Watching Hua Azure-Cloud Dancing Moon gradually drifting away, he had an evil grin on his face. Rest assured, he will definitely come back to find me.